could you please clarify your relationship, your department's relationship with the Department of Home Affairs? Because Home Affairs seem to think that they relied upon Department of Health for identifying social media posts that contravened Meta's guidelines.
So Ms Baumano can go over that again, Senator.
Senator, as evidence became available in terms of the nature of the virus and the nature of treatments and vaccines and all of those sorts of things and how it was being transmitted, obviously there was a growing evidence base there, and it was our job to collate that and to point to the source information, whether that be the Australian Health Protection Principal Committee, whether that be the World Health Organisation, whatever it might be, and we would collate that information for the Department of Home Affairs. That would be what they were able to then assess posts against. But ultimately the assessment is against the social media platforms' own policies about what is appropriate and not appropriate to be put onto their platforms. So they each have a published policy, so they would use our evidence base to inform that decision and assess against those policies. Where they felt there was a breach and that a post or an account was putting forward information that was not consistent with those policies, they would refer that to the social media company to look at.
So let me clarify then, I'll make sure I've got the understanding. Home Affairs wanted to censor or provide information to social media platforms where a post breached social media platforms' own guidelines, and they relied upon you to identify whether that was a breach or not.
We were part of informing that. In that,
who else was part?
Well, my point is the elements that we were able to contribute to were whether if, for example, they were making a referral specifically because they thought the information was false and was disinformation being deliberately promulgated to cause harm. For example, they would use the evidence sources that we had collated for them to make that assessment and say, according to all of this published research or according to the views of the Australian Health Protection Principal Committee in the position in Australia, here's the evidence that we're pointing to suggest that this other post is incorrect. So we would help provide that evidence. That was our role in that.
You didn't identify posts, you just provided evidence when Home Affairs asked for the evidence?
Yes, we were proactive in providing it. If there was something not covered...
You sometimes did identify posts?
We were proactive in providing evidence as new evidence came to light and adding to the evidence base. If there was an issue they came across that they thought was incorrect, for example, that 5G was causing COVID was one of the early ones that we did a lot of referrals in relation to, and that we didn't already have that in the evidence base, they would obviously check that with us in terms of an evidence assessment, and that would be added to it.
It was a hybrid role then? Sometimes you identified posts?
No, we very rarely identified posts.
But sometimes you did?
We probably have a handful of examples where we identified posts, and I've agreed to take that on notice.